Hi there, how are y'all doing? I have had the best day today. I feel like I live in northern Minnesota in a real conservative area, and I feel like Alice in Wonderland. You know what I mean? I like having my jaw dropped all day. Did y'all have that experience a little bit too? Man, thank you so much for the gift of being here with you. I'm really, really grateful. I want to acknowledge a couple things when I get started here. First, this is the equinox, right? This is a time of change. So just remember this moment that we're in. Be here now, or however y'all were saying that. We're all here. Take a breath and think about, let's be awesome. Let's be the kind of ancestors that our descendants will be proud of. Let's work on that. Let's do something awesome. Let's do some epic stuff. That's what I feel like is happening here. I also want to say that I want to acknowledge the Pomo people. This is their land here. This is the land that they live on a really, really, really long time, and they love this land too. And so I just want to give that acknowledgement because indigenous people of California have a pretty rough go with everything, and I'm hoping that the cannabis industry here can respect and love those communities and help us restore our roundhouses and return our sacred items and sing love and life back into this territory, because I'll tell you that those things that we do are things that reaffirm relationship to place, and that's really this opportunity we all have. I want to say that, I myself, Anin Nindawe Maganatuk, that means hello, my relatives. Benesi Kwe Indigenous Kaz, Makwa and Dodeum, Gababani Ka, Gishkani Ganing, and Dunjaba. I'm an Anishinaabe. I'm from the White Earth Reservation in northern Minnesota. I just realized I didn't have to stand by the mic. This is like an evolution for me too, okay? I'm working on it, All right, so I'm from the White Earth Reservation in northern Minnesota. I'm an Anishinaabe. We're in the northern part of 5 American states and the southern part of 4 Canadian provinces. I know y'all had an American education, so you don't know that. So I'm helping you out a little bit, right? Yeah. 500 federally recognized tribes, a lot of indigenous people. I'm a rural development economist by training, but I'm also a farmer. And I'm going to tell you a little bit of the story from my community. The place I live is different than here. This time right now in our lives, we call this Mano Minake Jesus. Mano and Minake Jesus, which means the wild rice making moon. It's a time when our people go to the lakes and to the rivers. We have, my reservation has 47 lakes and 500 bodies of water. We're not like here, And we go to our lakes and rivers and we put our prayers out and we go and harvest this wild rice that has been there, and we have harvested for 10,000 years. That's like what a sustainable economy looks like. Go to the same lake for 10,000 years, That's what we do. And we bring it in on our canoes. We take our sticks to that, bring it in, and we parch it over a fire. That's what my family is doing now. I left, we had 6,000 pounds of rice sitting there at the mill. My boys are sweaty and itchy. I have raised a lot of sons, and other people's sons too. But that's what we're doing. Mano Minake Jesus. I just thought you might like to think about that. And then, the moon that follows is Banakweo Jesus, which is and Gashkadno Jesus, the times when the leaves fall, the leaves change color, and the freezing over moon. Manitou Jesus Soons, Little Spirit Moon, Odamina Jesus, Strawberry Moon. Those are some of the names for the time in my territory. And I thought that you might like to hear a little bit about, that. And did you notice that none of those moons is named after a Roman emperor? Right. I just want to point out it's possible to have an entire worldview that has nothing to do with empire. You'll be okay. Just let that stuff go. That's way too much bags, That's way too much bags. So, that is a little bit about where I come from. And as I said, also, I'm a farmer. I come from also where the wild things are. We call it Oma'a King, the land to which the people belong. It is not the concept of private property, the land to which the people belong. Think about that. That's a whole different worldview, and that's really what we really need to work on having. Where do we belong? What is our covenant? What is our relationship to land and to place, and how are we going to actualize that in our work and what we do? The land to which the people belong, that is where I come from. But it is also the land where the wild things are. There is that here too, but where I live, you have frogs, you have butterflies, you have all kind of biodiversity, you have wild rice, you have bears, you have mountain lions and geese and swans and sturgeon. We live where it is good still. It is good still. And they say on a worldwide scale, indigenous people are about 5% of the world's population. But where we live is about 75% of the world's biodiversity. So I really think it's time for us all to work together. if you want to protect the biodiversity of life, because that's where it comes from, life comes from that, we all need to work together. Our wild rice itself, just to say, dormant in lakes because they were flooded by white people who need to have lake homes and big boats. Flood our lakes out, bury our rice under there. Some of our lakes, one lake, no rice for 50 years. Another was 17 years, and then one day the water levels fell and the rice came back. That tells you something about the beauty and persistence of seeds and of life itself, right? Of life itself. So that's where I come from. That is also, the place, whether it is the Amazon or the Arctic or Madagascar, those are indigenous people's territories. And the same thing, we are everywhere. And at the same time, we are in this time where, we know that this is our garden. My land is my garden, but I'm also a farmer. My land has mushrooms. My land has all those fiddlehead ferns, right? My land has all that. So our land is our garden. Our land is our garden. That's everyone's garden if you take care of your land. You can get a lot of things there that may not be in your formal garden. You get life there, but you just got to work with that. But also I'm a farmer, and I guess that's why I'm here. I farm, for 20 years or 30, almost 30 years. I'm 60 years old. I farmed since I was 30 for sure. And I raise corn, beans, squash, heritage potatoes, and Jerusalem artichokes, traditional tobacco varieties, and I raise hemp. I'm a fiber hemp farmer. So that's what I'm going to talk to you a little bit about. So that's what I do, and that's what we do in our community. But kind of in the bigger picture, I find myself in an awkward situation. Probably like a lot of you, I just really want to live my life. The Creator gave me a pretty good gig where I live. You can get sugar from a tree, that maple sugar. My guy from Sudbury knows that. Right, we're on the same team, he and I. And you can get rice from a lake, and you could drink the water from our lakes in Minnesota. That's pretty good, huh? And I feel like my job is to keep it that way. Right? If you got that, why would you mess that one up, right? You keep that one. And so we try to do that, but, I just say at this moment in time, you guys are a smart bunch, but I spent 7 years of my life fighting the single largest pipeline company in North America, the Enbridge Corporation. I didn't enter into this relationship lightly, believe me, and I want a divorce anytime now. Anytime now. I'm like, take your stuff and go home. But, we're in a crisis across this country, the fossil fuels industry and the fossil fuels infrastructure, which is crumbling and destroying our planet. And for 7 years, the Enbridge Corporation has been trying to throw a new pipe across our territory. They call it a replacement pipe, but you don't put in 300 miles of new line and call that a replacement. That's a new corridor. For 7 years, my tribes, a bunch of non-Indian lakeshore owners, farmers, environmentalists, all those youth climate interveners have faced them down in the Minnesota regulatory system, and we have defeated them already once. We defeated them in 2016 on a pipeline called the Sandpiper. We defeat that pipeline one time. We defeat them, big company. Then they went to Standing Rock, and they bought, Enbridge bought 28% of the Dakota Access Pipeline, and you all saw what happened at Standing Rock. So what I know is that the rights of corporations supersede the rights of people and the rights of Mother Earth, and that's not right. That's not right, because a corporation in the United States is considered a natural person under the law. And the fact is that everybody here knows that a corporation is not a person, because a corporation doesn't have a soul. To be a person, you have to have a soul. So I find myself in this moment where I've spent my life, frankly, fighting stupid ideas by white men. Let's just be honest about that one. It's like old white men now, but a lot of them had a lot of really bad ideas, and I know some of them were your relatives, but let's just be honest, because, we didn't make any of them decisions, right? And now we're all pretty much in the same canoe, They're getting the agrobiodiversity, they're toxifying our water, they're just, they're in this materials economy at the end of it, where they're trying to get the last 1% copper reserve in northern Minnesota, or the last this. Extreme extraction. Extreme extraction. That's what it is when you drill 20,000 feet under the ocean to get some oil. That's extreme behavior, right? It's all good until the Deepwater Horizon. Or fracking, busting up the bedrock of Mother Earth and putting 602 chemicals down that, you don't got to report on because you're Dick Cheney. How that one all worked. Right, so what I'm saying is we entered this era of extreme extraction. And I spent most of my life fighting these guys, fighting these oil companies, fighting mining companies, and I realized that we'll spend the rest of our time fighting them guys until we change the economy and until we change how things are here. because addiction's a bad thing to deal with, and y'all know that. And being a fossil fuel addict is what this country is, right? We got a whole materials economy that is predicated on hauling shit around the world that shouldn't be hauled around the world, right? And a lot of stuff that should stay in the ground. That's why it was in the ground, like carbon, right? Carbon's not supposed to be in the air. It's supposed to be in the ground, right? Dumb stuff done over these years, And so we have this opportunity in this moment in time. It is prophesied by our people. In that prophecy, a long time ago, they came to us and they said to our people, they referred to it as times of different fires. And they talk about the first fire, the second fire. Well, the fire that we are in now is the time of the seventh fire. That's what they call that, the time of the seventh fire. And in that time, it said we'll have a choice between two paths. That's what they told the Anishinaabe, two paths. One would be well-worn, but it would be scorched. And the other would not be well-worn, and it would be green. And it would be our choice upon which path to embark. And that would be our choice. And so I'm pretty sure that's not just for us. That's this moment that we are in, where we can make a choice which path we're going to go down. And we all know that the path of militarization and chemicals and Bayer and all those guys is one path that was chosen by some, but we know that we have to see this other path that is here. And that is the path that we are going to take. That's the path that we are on, and that's the path that we are looking at. In the meantime, you got to fight these guys off. Don't mistake that. And how we fight them is a spiritual movement. We fight them with a spiritual movement, with a social movement. I'm talking about Enbridge in this case, with litigation. And then we watch them bleed. And what bleeding is? What bleeding is when you look at the backside of Enbridge's share value, and it looks like the backside of Kilimanjaro. That's bleeding. That's bleeding. This economy has to be hemorrhaged out. And they never say they're sorry, They never say, sorry about messing with you Indian people for 7 years. They say the project has been deemed uneconomical, right? Isn't that how they check that one out, right? That's okay. We accept that. Just get out. Move on, right? We're all ready to move on. So that's a little bit about this moment in this story, and I see that and I feel that here, and I was so inspired by the things I learned. I think I'm going to get the grade for the best student here. I took notes on everything. So if anybody needs the notes, I got them. I gave a lot of boys notes when I was in college. It's still the same thing, man. Everybody needs notes sometimes. So listen, this is my thinking on this, okay? No, literally, I was over there, I went through 17, 20 pages with y'all. It was so cool. I hope you guys release that video soon. But anyway, let's just say this. So this is what I'm thinking about, is at this moment in time, I'm interested in the hemp economy because I'm interested in the textile economy, right? Now, I'm super interested in, I spent about 10 years of my life in Ashland, Oregon. Y'all know where that is, right? Like the heart of the Emerald Triangle, right? I was telling someone when I was a kid, the DEA officer, I just shared this with you, the DEA officer for Jackson County, probably the largest marijuana growing county in Oregon at the time, probably still, the DEA officer's name was Howard Hemphill. We smoked a lot of joints thinking about how funny that was, you can't make this shit up, right? But anyway, having said that, I look at this moment in time, and I'm a supporter of all kinds of cannabis because it is a magical plant. I know that. And I'm particularly grateful to two of my elders, John Trudell, who is a long speaker about this and the wisdom of cannabis and the wisdom of hemp. Many years I spent, he was a good friend of mine, and Alex Whiteplume, who said many times the same thing to me, and so I consider those guys brothers. I spent a lot of time, benefited from their thinking. But this is my thought on this, If you're going to change the world, you got to change people's minds, but you got to change the materials economy. That's what you all also got to change here. So I'm talking textiles. Let's just talk textiles for a minute, right? So this is my hemp skirt. Now this is Chinese hemp because we don't make hemp in the United States, right? Okay, so just look at these pictures. Most of us are wearing something that is made out of cotton. That would be 24% of the world's agricultural chemicals on 4% of the world's land and 5 times as much water as hemp takes, right? Then what's the rest of the stuff we're wearing? Unless you're wearing flax or, basically we're all wearing fossil fuels. We're wearing polyesters and nylons, and at some point we got to wean ourselves and move to the post-petroleum era, because we're going there anyway. They didn't end the Stone Age because they ran out of rocks, right? We're going to be moving on here. It's the question, change is inevitable. It's really just a question of who controls the change, right? It's who controls the change. So we want to be controlling that change. We want to be making decisions for our communities that are coherent, because that's the way it's going to work out for us. If you expect someone else to fix this for you, whether it is some technological genie or something else, it's not going to happen. You got to make sure, where's your people going to eat? Where's your water going to come from? Where's your textiles going to come from? Where's your energy going to come from? That's the thinking that we got to do, that this is a part of it. So I've been 4 years now a hemp grower. I have a state of Minnesota permit to grow, to grow industrial hemp. And basically, I started it on textiles because why? Because Minnesota used to have 11 hemp mills. Minnesota had 11 hemp mills. Now, I don't know how many Wisconsin had, but they had probably about the same amount. Until the 1940s, at the end of World War II, Minnesota basically made all its clothing and all its rope with local products. So I just was like, I want the renaissance of hemp. That's me. I'm here for the renaissance. And this renaissance is not going to be financed by the pillaging of Central America and Africa. This one is this age of enlightenment that the renaissance implies is going to be financed by what? Divestment from fossil fuels. That's what's going to finance this one. A transformation of where we spend our money and how we have our money and what we do with our supply chains. All of that is how this transformation is made, because it is not that there is not enough money in the economy, it's just very poorly spent. But part of the next economy is that it's not all about money either. The next economy is not about competition, it's about cooperation. The reality is if we want to survive, we all got to work together. Okay, so this is our little thing in Minnesota, right? We're up there, and I go to the first meeting, there's seven people, and now there's first one 4 years ago to get my hemp permit. Now there's 550. I'm the only Native woman in there, of course. That'd be pretty much the same gentrification and all the demographics that everybody else has expressed, right? And a lot of them damn guys are in there. Like, I heard this one farmer say, "Can I use glyphosate on this?" I was like, not this time. Not this time. We're done with that stuff. We're done. This is the opportunity to do it right. That's what everybody here is saying, to build an organic hemp economy. And my interest is I don't want to be on the menu. I want to be at the table, right? I want to be at the table. I want to be in there making decisions on how that's going to roll out. And my tribe, we got land. That's a little different than a lot of other people. We got a lot of land on our reservations in my area, and we got varietals that I've been working with. I'm interested in what varieties grew in Minnesota in the 1940s. I'm interested in what you do with them French varieties and how you make them work here for fine fibers, right? And then, of course, I'm interested in what you do with the seeds. And I grow some CBD girls because my community, just like everybody else, needs help. So I'm interested in all of that. But the question is how you build the vertical integration in that industry. So I have fiber, and then I had to go around and try to find this thing called a decorticator, which is like looking for a unicorn. I'm like looking under this. I go to this conference, and I go several times to the Jackson County Hemp Conference, and we're all just like talking about, smoking it in there. I was like, no, I need a decorticator, And then I went to NOCO, and finally I seen one big thing there, and I look at it as a proudest moment in my life. And I was sitting there, there's this like white guy farmer next to me, and I'm standing there, and he says, "What is that?" And I said, "That's a decorticator." Like a moment. Like when you could tell a white guy farmer what a piece of equipment was, I was like, goes in there, goes like that, goes out there. Awesome. So I had to get a decorticator from China. That's where all this stuff is built. I have a field decorticator. That's really awesome. We decorticated our field from last year. And then we just bought a rope making machine from China. That's where everything comes from, right? Time to rebuild the hemp industry here. But my goal is to build a mill and now I got to I'm like on the secret degumming mission. Like that's the next thing. If any of you guys got the degumming thing, turn it over. I'm basically saying it's a crazy thing. There's like this thing. I'm like, you want to save the planet or you want to sit there, how are we going to do this? How are we going to build an ecologically based textile industry that, isn't full of chemicals like they use in China and isn't based on slave labor, right? How are we going to do that? What are we going to do? So that's what we want to do. And so work in our tribe, and then there's tribes all throughout the region. We have a different situation. We got a lot of land. We got agricultural land. My tribe has 837,000 acres of land. I'm saying Pine Ridge is 2 million acres. Rosebud's 1 million acres. 3 affiliated tribes, they're about 2 million acres. A lot of that land leased out to white ranchers right now. Tribes can pull those leases, put them into things. It's a huge potential. So we're looking at building a scaled model that we can replicate. because you can't have just one hemp mill. Minnesota had 11 back in the 1940s, so you might need 30 hemp mills. But our region is well suited for it because it grew there before. And it grows just like a weed, no problem. You take care of your soil and your hemp comes back. And so our vision is, that is how you take that green path. And it is part of, like the brother that was up here before, integrated vision of solar energy, rebuilding the arts, rebuilding organic agriculture and integrated farms in our area. So I'm really proud of my work, in trying to figure this out with our team and working with a lot of tribes in our region. And I know a lot of you don't have familiarity with textile hemp, but, start learning about it and figure out how to support us through different ways, because we are all this together. And you could smoke it, you could taste it, but you still got to clothe yourself, right, at some point. So just kind of the last, thoughts I had in this moment. I'm super grateful to be here with all of you, where I'm going to go back to my community and we're going to continue fighting off bad guys. But the thing is that we got a way better idea than they ever had. We got life, we can see what that green path looks like and we're taking it. And in the meantime, we're going to keep, so, if you didn't get a chance to go to Standing Rock and camp, you could come to Minnesota this summer if they issue the permits. Camping's nice in Minnesota, though. We have like 10,000 campgrounds on every lake. So it's awesome. But what I'm saying is that what I want to do is what y'all want to do, and I was happy to be here with you. These Pomo people here, they had a covenant. They had a covenant, Oma, king, with this earth, how they took care of it. We need to keep the same covenant. Long time ago, 1706, I believe, is when the agreement was signed between our people and the Haudenosaunee, the Six Nations Iroquois Confederacy. We signed an agreement. It came out in a wampum belt, and it's called the One Dish, One Spoon Wampum. The One Dish, One Spoon Wampum. And in that, they said that, our people sat down and they said, we eat from one dish. We eat from one dish. In this case, Ohio River Valley. We eat from one place. So nobody should take more than they need. Take care of the animals that are there because we eat from one dish. And then they said, let us eat with one spoon. Because if we eat with one spoon, then we're relatives. So I feel like this moment in time is our moment to do that. Is to become good relatives, good ancestors, the people that make things beautiful. And I just really appreciate the time to be here with y'all, here, Oma'a King, in this moment. Miigwech. Thank you.